You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Sean Paul Leck.
Together we are
Rope Break.
And welcome is Friday Night Smackdown. We promise that we're going to deliver the same energy on NXT UK, and that's what we're doing. We're doing it, but I mean, this show, like you said, we always mention that is a big load of just steamy hot crap. But I think this time it wasn't, I feel because it was just a long segment that was kind of like the main event. I think I don't feel as bad. I don't feel as disappointed as usual on a Friday night.
Yeah, the one thing that we didn't think we were actually going to get, which was a pretty decent Royal Rumble build to close the show, because the last thing you should see on a go-home show is build for the Royal Rumble. And, that's what they gave us, so really, we can't complain about that. There was some other segments, some things going on, on the show that, was a little bit bullshit. And maybe we'll get into a little bit here who we might think is going to win. Because this Rumble, if I'll say who I texted Juan, off air or off camera, who I think is going to win. And if that's so, then my prediction is one of the worst Royal Rumbles.
Maybe ever. It could be, it could be a disaster. It could be a disastrous Royal Rumble. But thank you so very much for being with us, family. Thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for people that are being really digging AEW Dynamite review. Jean Paul is on, right there, the best mind in the business. Please hire this guy. There's a contract that is a clause that he can still be on the show, but give him an opportunity. Every time he talks, 99% he's almost right when it comes to booking things, so please give him a shot. Also, just give Buzz a shot when it comes to the NXT UK review. Pretty deadly, the guys that been asking for a championship opportunity, they've been calling themselves.
Yeah, they want a shot too.
Yeah,
we all want a shot.
Yeah, exactly. And finally they actually proved themselves in a fatal 4-way. So it was a really cool thing. Hey, Paul, do you know the name of the finisher from them? Spill milk.
Is that what they call it? Really?
That's what is the name of the finisher.
I mean, that's funny because then if you get pinned by them, you can be like, "Hey, don't cry over spilled milk."
Yeah, there you go. So they're gonna go against Gallus, their #1 contenders. Really good show. The best show on WWE NXT UK. Mm-hmm. Please watch the review right there. We have everything. We absolutely cover everything. Meiko Satomura is gonna join NXT UK. Big news for them. The brand, and also William Regal, Paul. William Regal's son. He's going to actually join on NXT UK. So,
oh, that's cool. I like that.
A lot of great news. So, please be with us for that. But, let's open that with, SmackDown. Like I said, Daniel Bryan, at least a different also opening. So, that's also, for me, exciting because I was tired of Big Dog and all of that. So, Daniel Bryan opens SmackDown. Of course, the Yes Movement, the chants, all of that. And remember, he goes, "Welcome to Friday Night SmackDown." So, it kind of, reminds me of the days that he used to be the GM. Was SmackDown, remember, and all of that. So I like that. He cut a promo, and he talks about how, in all of his accomplishments, he's done it all. Many championships and all of that. But the one thing that he hasn't done yet is, once again, winning the Royal Rumble. And he says the importance on the Royal Rumble, road for WrestleMania, is oh, they screwed me on 2015. People still talk about it. It was in Philly. The Rock came out. Fuck Roman, all of that. And he says, well, it's kind of like my last Rumbles. Right? He says, maybe I don't have that many in me left. So that was cool. And then you get to see the surprise of, a guy that, normally he's from Monday Night Raw, but he actually made, surprise return here, and he's actually AJ Styles. So that was cool. And he says, well, Brian is what are you doing here? And then, AJ Styles is well, this is SmackDown is the house that AJ Styles built. So what do you think of this, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, this promo was good by Daniel Bryan, obviously hyping it up, saying everything he's done, but he's never won the Royal Rumble, and, he needs to win it now, because like you said, who knows how many he has left. So he had the promo getting everybody hyped up, then he had to turn it and make it all and then everybody was all depressed. Then AJ came out, and AJ, he's I'm the gatekeeper, and I was oh, is this, Jack Stars, or who is this, what's going on here? So he's I'm the gatekeeper of Monday Night Raw, I'm the best, blah, 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 like you said. And so they kind of are going back and forth, and I like his line. He's you say you're ready for the Royal Rumble, Brian, but you're out here in, dress pants, all this stuff. He's you look more like you're already have one foot in retirement. Yeah. He's you look like you're going back to the GM role. What's going on here? So poking fun at him, saying that, he is kind of just settling into the after, in-ring career. And Brian didn't like that. And he's they kind of were bringing up the past they had on SmackDown, finals of the Intercontinental Championship tournament. And, they said that they're going to have a match later on tonight. So that was really good. I like that because we know these two can put on a good wrestling match.
Yeah, that was the best thing, like you said, in like Mandingo or Amas or Omos or Andrade Cien Almas, however you want to call it. Like, they changed the names, like, we change underwear here, so I don't know what is really his name, but like, they like, look at that stare down. That's me looking at Jean Paul every single time. But like, you don't see that because we're in the camera. In the camera, we're in the same
good.
side.
Yeah, thanks.
But good stuff. Like, that's how SmackDown opened, and then we're gonna go to like Jean Paul's girl. Like the longest champion of SmackDown in history of the women, Bayley. Bayley's, she says that, like, you saw what happened at the end of like the obstacle course last week. It's like, I beat up Bianca, like that was gonna happen, and now today I'm gonna beat you one more time. So you're gonna go to your darkest place in life. It's like, because of me, you are like shining, you're bright, you're current, you're relevant. But now I'm gonna send you back where you never were supposed to, just come out of.
Yeah, so, like, and she was poking fun at her with the Chronicle. She's like, "Oh, you said half your life, all you did was run from obstacles. Now you face them head on." She's like, "Well, I'm gonna make you run from them again." And like you said, send her to the darkest place. So I like how the promo started. She was almost putting Bianca over, and then she twisted it and was like, "Ding dong, hello, no, I'm a heel." Yeah, and then it's just like, no, put her down. And this I like that, it's like, okay, they're going to have a match. I thought they really didn't need a match. But, I mean, the match itself, though, all things considered, it was good. It was just kind of, it wasn't needed. Because it was like, yeah, they kind of wrestled. They had this thing. Just let them settle it in the Royal Rumble. Like, why have a singles match? If anything, that should come after the Royal Rumble.
Exactly. Like, see, that's the one thing that I told you is like, this thing is like, you can't even beat the one or the other because like both of them need momentum to go into the Royal Rumble. A lot of people are saying the number one and number two, they're right there in the picture. So
yeah, for me, then to not spoil the main event, and I'm sure you would have felt the same way during this match, it should have been, maybe have Natalya and Tamina come out, and then maybe have, the Riot Squad, and maybe have like, then you have 8 women, 12 women in the ring all beating each other up, maybe, and you have Bianca throwing them, and Bayley and whoever, they start throwing women over the top, like imitating the Royal Rumble, and you can maybe have Bianca be the last one in there, and it's like, oh, this will be a sign of what's going to happen on Sunday, and then Bayley, chop blocks her, takes her down, hits the rose plant, stands tall. That would have been something maybe better than having this full match where, while I said it was good, but, Bianca, she hits the KOD and, for the win, but before she was really selling the arm injury, and I'm almost positive that that's not like a legit injury. Like, she didn't re-injure it or anything, so I don't think that that'll affect anything. But, she did really sell that arm injury. And then afterwards, she cut a promo, which, normally Bianca's really confident and sassy. I loved it in NXT, coming out with the sunglasses on was like, no nonsense. Like, yeah, I'm better than you. I can kick your ass. Like, look at me. Here she was like, crying, but it was like so fake because she's like, oh, beating Bayley was the biggest win of my career. She was the SmackDown champion forever, the 500 whatever days, blah, 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 all this stuff. And she's like all emotional. It's like, oh, going into the Royal Rumble. And the commentary was even putting it over like that. And I was like, this is just so fake. That's not who Bianca is. It's not like, oh, I hate that she's being pushed because she should have been pushed on Monday Night Raw when she debuted. But it's just, this is so fake and it's not her character. So that's why I didn't like this.
Oh no, yeah, like I agree with you. I don't think that like she should like act that way. Like you said, like I just like the confidence that she has on NXT. Like you don't even go here, like stuff exactly. Like that. Like that kind of Bianca is better. It's kind of like Sasha Banks when she's like heel and bitchy and all of that, like the boss. Like that's kind of like what Bianca is, and I didn't like this at all. Also, she added like after this, the win, like you said, the biggest win of my career. I'm like, bro, really? It was like, okay.
Well, yeah. What about when Natalya pinned Bayley like a couple weeks ago? Was that the biggest win of Natalya's career?
Well, but for Natalya, like Natalya is a different thing, but like she always loses, so when she gets a win, is a different thing. But like, yeah, I agree with you. That line was like extremely like not necessary. It was not needed in that. So like she goes also, I'm gonna win the Royal Rumble. I'm gonna go to WrestleMania. So maybe like you said, this kind of like lines that they add in the promo, maybe is signifying. It just means that like she's probably gonna win the Royal Rumble. We'll see. A lot of people are saying that she might win it. We'll see what happens. They want to see the boss against, Bianca Belair. So we'll see what happens. But like, I mean, like you said, match itself, cool, very good. But like, I wouldn't want to see Bayley being beat. I would much rather to see a DQ just so both women go strong into the Royal Rumble. Well, we'll see though. Like, WWE, they always find a way to actually make you hesitate over the things that they do. You never find sense in what they do. I want your thoughts on this really quick. Backstage, a lot of people complain Remember what we said, that they were going to reveal who was going to be number 30 for the match?
Yes, I did pick that up, and then they said it's going to be who is number 1 and 2.
Yes.
And I was waiting. I'm like, is it also 30? And they didn't say 30, so I was like, oh, I wonder. They must have changed it. Yes, I did pick that up, and I thought that was a good idea. See, that's one of the things, listen to their fans. Of course, it's something minor. They should listen to their fans when we complain about other stuff. But hey, I guess it's a start, right? So that was. So that was good because, like we said, 1 and 2, that you get that out of the way right away. It's like, oh, there's no suspense. It's not like you're waiting forever. But when you already know, I wonder who's number 30, and then you tell your buddy, oh no, they said it was Dolph Ziggler.
It is like, exactly. You take all the excitement, all the emotion of it.
Yeah, you're like, that asshole. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But you remember what you said to me? It's like number 1, number 2 is the same thing, because it's like they both have a chance, the same type of like a chance. It's like it doesn't matter because both of them start the match at the same time. So good on WWE, but that's because of a lot of backlash that they did, and it's not the backlash of the greatest match ever. No, it's another type of backlash, but at least they switched that up, and this is what we're gonna see. Of course they gotta give us some shit right there. Like to like. See what's going to be 30 in the women's Royal Rumble.
And what did these two women do to deserve that? So,
I know.
If anything, this should be loser is number 1.
Yes.
And then whoever wins is like, just draws random.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely seeing Natalya getting, the win, and then because, she's not going to win it, she's just going to be there, and of course they gotta kind of like a worker with something.
Well, I mean, if her and her sister want to like watch the Rumble together till she comes out at number 30, I'd be fine to watch.
That's fine, we love Jenny.
Yeah.
We love her. She's legit. So talking about legit guys, see Mandingo, Almas going in styles, and like the contest of who's the tallest one of them all. 3 right there. That's me, Jean Paul, and like a guy that Ryan Whitman. There you go. Shout out to Ryan. He's right there. The 3 of us just talking. So like good. I mean, they're kind of like strategizing. Hey, they're gonna have a match, legit, whatever. So like let's move on, Paul, to like a rematch from last week. We got to see this like last week of Dominic Mysterio against Baron Corbin, and Baron Corbin was coming out, and then Dominic jumps him. So like in a good fashion Mexican style. No, we're not going to say that. It's just like they had a match, and I mean it was pretty much the same thing as last week. But actually Rey Mysterio was on commentary. I mean, pretty good like counters that they do. Baron Corbin, like we said, we don't hate the guy as a wrestler because he obviously can wrestle. He's actually good. We love Dip 6. We love some of his counters that he does. And Dominic, like he is becoming, the more and more he wrestles, he gets better as every week goes by. But the storyline doesn't fit. You said, like, do you feel like this, you don't care about this? I'm like, yeah, and neither do you, because this is just crap. Because you went from Rollins, remember, like Aaliyah was involved, Buddy Murphy. Maybe they're just like on a honeymoon. Who knows? But like we haven't been seen ever. From the past 2 months. So like Mysterio's like, I don't know where my daughter is. Like, what do you think about this, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much just hit the nail on the head. Dominic. Even Ray, good wrestlers. Corbin is good for what he does because he's given the most absolute shitty gimmick.
Yes.
We can't be like, oh, Corbin sucks. It's like, well, look what he's given. Could you get that King gimmick over? No, a King gimmick is only going to get over with one person, and his name is Jerry.
Yes.
So there's no other King is going to feel special. People aren't going to care about him, but speaking of things I'm not going to care about, it's this entire feud. I don't care. I mean, they're making Corbin look good. He looks really strong and really dominant, which is something they should have done with him from the beginning. But what's this going to lead to? He's a heel. Is he going to go against Roman Reigns? If Roman is still the champ after Sunday?
No.
Probably not. Is he going to go after the Intercontinental Championship? No, because there's a bunch of guys that are in that feud, and adding him to it wouldn't make any sense, really. So,
does he have a chance to win the Royal Rumble?
No. I mean, he might. There is a chance, but he's not probably high on the list. So, yeah, I really don't know what this is. I feel it's we don't know what to do with Dominic. We don't know what to do with Ray. And, let's put him with Corbin. Let's, see what happens for a couple weeks. If we can think of something, we'll keep going with it. If not, we'll just drop the storyline like we do with everything else.
Yeah, and like, remember we said he's a really good magician because he was able to disappear his 2 guys, the Forgotten Sons.
Yeah.
They're more forgotten than ever. And there you go. End of days, Paul. I like the counter that he does to the 619, though. I will say that. Like when he goes and he just grabs the legs and then he lifts on it. Like, and
the thing I always say, it don't matter how great a match is. You could put on a wrestling clinic. Dave Meltzer could be like, this is a 7-star match. But if there's no story, if there's no emotional investment, the match isn't good to me anyway.
Oh yeah,
so
it is.
like I don't really care. To me, this is no story. The story is, Ray's like, oh, I tell Dominic, you got to fight like this, you got to defend yourself like that, you got to do this. Oh, I didn't teach him how to do that. So like it's causing the friction between them, and it's like, why? This should be the story. Unless Ray is about to leave and retire, this is a storyline you tell at that moment. You don't tell it now.
Yeah, well, remember like what they say, like one of them is going to eliminate the other, so maybe that's the tease right there. And like after the match, Ray attacked Corbin, a little bit of interaction, and he's like, "Oh, mijo, stop being bullshit, and we're going to do it my way." We'll see what happens at the Royal Rumble.
It looks like he's holding his face, but it looks like he's almost going to slap him then with the other hand.
Well, we didn't see that part, but like that's the commercial break. But like actually slapped the crap out of him. Mm-hmm. That's the behind the scenes in the WWE.
He's like, mijo.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck? Stop
we had to show the slap off camera.
Yeah, we have to go in like WWE behind the scenes. Let's go to this promo. Big E gives money to Sonya Deville. It's like, can you please let me know what's my number or what number I picked? At least they kind of like see they show the one thing like you said in the entrance when we started the show, like at least they kind of focus a little more on the Royal Rumble, so that's cool. So like they did that.
Maybe they listened to the fans about that because we said Monday Night Raw felt like it's like, is there a pay-per-view on Sunday? I couldn't tell.
Exactly, like there was no feel for it. At least we felt a little bit of it. Miz and Morrison are right there, another two guys that are from Monday Night Raw, but like they were like, hey, we're just gonna be here because it's an invitational. It's like before the Royal Rumble. At least there's a pay-per-view on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So that was cool.
And he even said he might cash in on Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. So who knows?
Yes, and after that there was more interactions. They went at it. So this will pretty much set up for
which you got to think, if they beat the shit out of each other and they're both laying there and none of them, it's a last man standing, so none of them can make the count. If he would come out and cash in, he could just stand there.
Yeah.
And technically win, you know what I mean? If he wanted to be technical, but I don't know. If whoever he cashes in on, I'm just going to make the prediction he's going to lose.
I hope that he doesn't win the championship, I hope that he doesn't, because that will be the crappiest thing.
The only thing I'll say is if he wins it on a Sunday, he's going to lose it on a Monday. That's all I'm going to say.
To go over, yeah. Spear, Jackhammer, and Dunne. Like Rey Mysterio will always say that he looks like Kalisto. To me, that's Rey Mysterio. That's not Kalisto. Rey just put a hat, right there, and like he's like, oh, mamacita, rica, mi amor.
The way he was flirting, I thought it was you.
Yeah, well, like the same height. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm ripped like that, so maybe it's me with the mask. Like
that's why you weren't. That's why you weren't texting me through the show. Okay.
That's like I gotta do something. Don't.
Man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. But then she turned you away for Mandingo Jr. though.
That's right. Like I'm at least I'm a that high in confidence. That's what I am. So anyway, we got to see Reginald, and Reginald just gives Sasha a bottle. Like, hey, like it's a gift from Carmella. But like because they are gonna have that match. So like nobody hypes that match. Nobody even says that they're gonna have a match. But suppose there's gonna be a women's championship match with Carmella. So Sasha just said, I don't need those gifts. It's like a cheap wine. So kind of going in the same lines. But like the one thing that this at least feud for me, Paul, is like has not have any build or like no excitement after this. It's built out of like nothing for me. There's no really substance in this feud.
Yeah, I don't really get this either. And she, in the beginning, she's like flirting with him, and he's all like, ooh, he's all excited. And then she's like, you can take this cheap bullshit wine and give it to Carmella, but make sure it's a kind that she can, sip through a straw after I break her neck. So, kind of like, she twisted it then to be like, yeah, I'm not flirting. Like, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to kick her ass. And, that it was good, but it was just like, it was weird. Like, because that's Carmella's gimmick, to be like the sexy, the flirting. So I'm like, is she imitating Carmella to make fun of her? I don't know. And I really don't care about this match. We saw it once. She beat her and she said, oh, Carmella, I'll give you your match with me at the Royal Rumble if you give me my match with Reginald. So, I mean, it's like, what? I don't. I feel like it's because they don't know what to do. And they're like, well, the Royal Rumble's coming up. And that's when we can actually give Sasha her opponent. So it's like, shit, we don't really know what to do until then, so we'll just do Carmella again. Yeah,
let's have the match, and like that's what it feels like. So, let's go to like former, friends, best friends, or like they used to win gold together. We actually saw them winning gold. Remember, we were there for the Elimination Chamber last time. Like we actually
the last wasn't that the last pay-per-view that had people?
Yes, like that's what like
That's
rope
right.
break
Look
does.
what happens when rope break goes
We
to a
always
show.
make
No more
history. That's right.
rope break goes, and then no more shows.
Yeah, well, no, actually make us go to another pay-per-view so that people come back. Like, I remember, Jean Paul, myself, when actually Sammy won the Intercontinental Championship, so he says, hey, Shinsuke, help me out. Like, we used to be friends. Remember the match at TakeOver? Like, you've become legit because of me. So how about if we just, reform ourselves? Like, hey, can we try this one more time? And Shinsuke says, thank you for everything you've done, but go to hell. So no, thank you. So we see Nakamura babyface, although in a spectacle, in like for like Indian people, like he actually worked as a heel. So WWE doesn't
Oh
remember
yeah, the
something.
superstar spectacle.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
So like, but at least right now he's still
And
babyface.
I like this. I like the callback, to their takeover match. But I love that line where he's just like, "Go to hell." He's
Go
like,
to
"Thank
hell,
you,"
yeah.
but no.
In a good Shinsuke way. So like,
Oh
let's
yeah.
go to the final showdown. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the head of the table, the big dog, and all of that. Against Kevin, I have no nicknames for you, Owens. So like right there, like they kind of
Kevin,
like,
my family loves me, Owens.
yeah, my family loves me, Owens, right? Or I lose like 3 matches in a row, Owens. So like right there, just kind of like pretty much like a sit down interview going against at each other, and this was okay. I'm not going to say it was great, but like you see, like at least Roman is pretty much just acting heel like a prick, and Kevin is more like I'm going to beat you, I'm going to win the match, and Roman goes, what about? Tell me a little bit about your dad. So they're trying to talk about their dad and like he's a good man, and he's like, oh, is he really a good man? Did he really teach you right? Because I'm gonna make you understand what you don't understand. So like they kept going with this, narrative. Like I really didn't care
Yeah.
much for this. I don't know what you felt about it, but I was just like,
I,
can they have the match? I don't really care for this.
Yeah, it's to me. It's this would be more legit if this was maybe the second match they were having. Roman won the first one, then this is the rematch. But it's like this is the third time now, so that kind of kills it for me. Kevin was legit. I thought everything that he said on his end stuff was good because he kept asking about his dad, and he's like, if you keep asking and you keep asking about my family going down this path, he's like, you're gonna piss me off, and Roman's
And you
like,
watch what you say, right?
yeah, and Roman's like, I don't want to piss you off, and Roman to me is such like his delivery and everything is good, but I feel it's just like how he says it is good, but just some of the things he says, it's just dumb. Like he could word things better. He could, just be a better heel. Like and the no caring attitude, like with the things he says, it's just like weird. Like, but I thought Kevin was good, and then once Kevin gets fired up, and he's like, you're a piece of shit because you just sit there like a wannabe, mafia boss, surrounding yourself with a bunch of yes men who tell you how great you are when you're really just a cowardly piece of shit. And he's like, my family, they love me, they respect me. The man they see in the mirror, or the man I see in the mirror, I know is a good man that who I am. And he's like, but after Sunday, when I look in the mirror, I'm still going to see the same man, except I'm going to have. And then like Roman cuts out because he's like, oh, I don't want to listen to this bullshit.
Yeah.
He just cuts his camera, and
yeah.
then he says that but he's going to see the same man in the mirror, but he's going to have the Universal Championship. And he's yelling, lots of emotion, really good promo, like I said. And to me, I think if you don't give it to him now, it's like it's either now or never. I feel.
Supposedly, like the only thing I got is because you said everything like that I was thinking. Like a lot of people say that, like, remember when we mentioned like when the feud is really good, it doesn't matter whether you're the loser or the winner, you come out strong. So a lot of people are saying that after this, Owens needs to go to bigger things. But like, what is bigger than going after a championship?
Yeah, what's bigger than the World Heavyweight Championship?
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's
show?
like, okay, what can you do? So like, I mean. They're not going to pull the trigger. A lot of people are saying that Roman is going to WrestleMania. Maybe there were reports today that just came out as maybe Edge might be against Roman, Spear versus Spear. But like at least Kevin is doing the greatest job as babyface that I've seen him till date. Because remember when he was Universal Champion, he was actually heel. The roles were reversed. But Kevin deserves it. I will pull the trigger on Kevin right now because he's so hot and he's never had that baby face run with the stunner. Kind of like the Stone Cold Steve Austin. We always mention him, but like I would much rather see that than Roman is still going as tribal chief. We'll see what they do, but like you said, I like this. And he pretty much said, after I beat you, like they're gonna look like a clown. The mafia clown that you are. But like good promo. I don't know what your thoughts on this. Who like you want Kevin to win. I know, but like that Roman could retain. You know what I mean? I don't know, but for me, I'm conflicted on it because I want Kevin to win, but Roman is just gonna retain.
Yeah, and I mean, if you were ever going to do one person, like to do the Becky Lynch, where you have a match and you lose, but then you somehow enter the Rumble and win it, to me, that would be Kevin Owens.
Oh yeah,
But I mean, that would be like, oh, then it's like, oh my God, the fourth time we're seeing this match. But then, like, you would have to do it then.
yes.
Because you're setting up the Cinderella story at WrestleMania, to beat it. But it's like, what stipulation do you do after,
After
after last man standing?
Like yeah, you've done it, and
Yeah,
we're seeing that a lot of times in the Royal Rumble they've been having last man standing matches. 04, Shawn Michaels against Triple H, last man standing. So like many times they've done
but
that.
I mean, I do want him to win it, but it's one of the things that I was thinking earlier today is like, does WWE really want to go into WrestleMania with Roman Reigns not having a belt
Exactly.
on his shoulders or something? Or who knows? Maybe they'll have that match, and maybe Roman is in the Royal Rumble, and Roman wins it.
Oh, maybe they could do it. Yeah, you're right. They could actually give that a Scott. So good. See, listen to the booking right there. He might be right. He could be right. It's most of the time
because who says Roman doesn't beat the shit out of R-Truth or somebody like that? Who's supposed to be in it, and everybody's scared of him. Clearly, Adam Pearce doesn't, tell him, "Oh no, you're bullshit. You don't control the show." If he says, "Oh, the big dog wants to be in it, the tribal chief," they'll be like, "Okay."
Yeah, you're right. So like we'll see what happens. Let's go to the main event. This was actually a long main event because it started as a singles match. Daniel Bryan with AJ Styles. Really good show, but for like 5 minutes we saw them having the match. Like of course these guys like they give you technical wrestling. I like that. The holds that they were doing. Like exchanging like a lot of counters.
Tell me how you feel, because the match, while it was very good, and we've seen these two wrestle before, clearly not the best match they've had or anything. But when they had Cesaro on commentary, he's getting better every time he's is on commentary and has to talk a lot, but he's still not the best. And then just the interaction with Michael Cole and Corey Graves, I'm like, this is kind of taking me out of the match a little bit. And then especially when they brought out Sami Zayn. Now that I saw how the main event and everything planned out, I see what they were going for. But at the time, it's like, they don't even treat the match like legit. It's just, let's focus on Cesaro, let's focus on Sami Zayn and Big E and all this stuff. And eventually, it just all broke down.
The whole point, it was just like to showcase everybody. So of course Cesaro is going to look even less important. When they did this, Sami Zayn, like you said, he came out. He's still campaigning to get his Intercontinental Championship back. So like he was just like cause distraction. This actually turned out into be a DQ. So then Big E comes out also. So he starts attacking Sami Zayn. So like everything broke loose, and then we had to like see more people joining the party. So I was like, really, what is this about? I wasn't like, I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, the main event is like, to me, I was like, there's nothing else besides this, so probably they're gonna like stretch it. And yeah, they did, because after that they went all at it, so it became like a 3 against 3. And I like this interaction, this like a little interaction that Nakamura and Cesaro had. Like, hey, they were going at each other, but it's like, no, we're good. Remember, we're legit. We're friends. It's all good. So I like this, but then it became like a big four guys match there. Otis was also out, so we got to see The Miz and Morrison came out, and Jean Paul texted me, oh, fuck, this is shit. So, like, I see this. So, like you said, I agree with you. Like, this was absolutely crappy.
Yeah, and then Sheamus then came out, too. He was the last one to come out, I believe. Yes. And then this, so then we see, okay, this is all our role. No, he wasn't the last one, I lie. Because, there was a big stinker. SmackDown couldn't go off the air without a big, pile of bullshit coming out. But, it was, at this point, it's like, okay, you see all this stuff, and it's like, okay, now I know what they're doing. Like you said, it's kind of the old days when it's just like, like JR would call it a slobber knocker. Everybody comes down and just who's going to be in the Rumble. It's this madness. Who's going to win? But it shouldn't have been a match. It should have just broken down in a DQ. It should have been all 10, 12 guys, however many were there, all down in the ring, beating the shit out of each other. Oh, here's the copyright logo, go off the air. That would have been cool, because then it's like, oh, we don't know, and it's exciting and blah blah blah, and we don't have to see the Great Liberator get bro kicked and pinned 1 2 3. But I mean, he did look good, but can he please get can he get like his wrestling gear back so he doesn't look like a homeless man that they put in the wrestling ring?
He doesn't look like a bum that is actually trying to be a wrestler. Yeah, but I mean, if he's especially because if he's trying to be Fidel had a lot of luxury, had a lot of wealth. He was a wealthy man for all the stuff that he did in Cuba. So can he just resemble what what Fidel was? Like you said, the one thing at least, Sheamus went after like Miz and John Morrison, so that's legit that they had a little bit of storytelling from Monday Night Raw adding to SmackDown. So I will give them that. And like you said, there was never can never show be up go with all the year without a stinker. This man comes back. Braun Strowman, especially that he's actually from Monday Night Raw, but no, he just shows up on SmackDown.
Well, that I wouldn't complain about because all the other people coming back and stuff.
Right, so. So he comes back. He's finally, clear from the injury that he had, because this man, doesn't matter how big, how strong he is, he gets injured like he's made of jello. So he gets he's gonna come back and he absolutely massacres everybody else. Cesaro, Sami Zayn. Of course, Sami Zayn has to be the one that like gets all the crap. And then boom, he got also Cesaro. Like he got like the running power slam, really cool stuff. Of course, the same shtick that like Braun Strowman always does. And do you get this picture to close the SmackDown and to close actually the go home show for the Royal Rumble.
And you want to know, like, because this was so bullshit, it was 9:57 when this show ended. Sometimes we get overruns, 10:05, a little after. No, they were like, man, this Braun Strowman ended now. Like, let's get off the air and
this we can.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, this is one of the things that they said on commentary, and hey, don't be surprised. There's some rumors going around. The winner of the Royal Rumble is, they said it's a scary pick. He's the monster among men, scary monster. Who knows? And if he wins it and this weird crying babyface Bianca Belair wins it, like I said, if those are the two, this might be one of the worst Rumbles ever. So
it could be. So it can either be a really great start for 2021 or it could be a really, really disappointing and lackluster.
I mean, if you want a legit, for the women, I really don't know. Maybe there'll be a surprise, somebody like that. Maybe Rhea Ripley. That would be badass. Have her win it, But then I would say if she does win it, then I want the Raw Women's Championship on Charlotte, so she can beat Charlotte and become Raw Women's Champ, and get revenge on Charlotte for last year's WrestleMania, and also doing a rematch would be cool, for their whole feud, going into the future. Exactly. But for the men, I know there's a lot of people I'd love to see win it. Keith Lee, I think, would be legit, but I'm sorry. After Monday Night Raw, there's only one person who I want to see it now, and that's Edge.
Edge, absolutely right. Don't forget, family, Royal Rumble coverage is going to be possibly tomorrow. We're going to have some coverage. I'm Paul and myself talking a little bit of extras of the Royal Rumble rumors. Who do we want to think? Maybe our favorite Rumbles. A little bit of like more coverage tomorrow. Remember, like the show we'll review it after the show is over on Saturday and Sunday night, and also like we're going to review it in Spanish. Me, myself, and Juan. So we're going to be doing that, and also don't forget. For the people that follow us on Road Break Soccer, tomorrow we have the final of Libertadores Cup, Santos against Palmeiras. So we're going to be talking about that with Mauro, for the ones that like love him. And, after that, we get connection via satellite with Jean-Paul Egg to talk about this also. So, family, thank you so very much for being with us for this review. Thank you for the love. We want to hear your comments. Look, who's winning the Royal Rumble? Who's going to be like the breakthrough star? Who's going to be the dark horse in the Royal Rumble? We want to hear it all. And then we can talk more about this. So don't forget, help us with the subscription and the bell for all notifications. And where else can they find us?
Yes, and then also follow us Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
Thank you so very much, family. You and me have one more thing that is left to say. That is...